When your job is keeping America moving, it's got to be stressful, especially when there are train derailments, airline mishaps, and broken down bridges, from the Golden Gate to the Gold Star Bridge in New London. That's where I sat down recently with the United States Secretary of Transportation, the out-gay man whose job is to manage all that, while also clapping back at homophobic right-wing attacks on his marriage and raising twin toddlers. Pete Buttigieg sat down with me for his first and only interview with an out transgender journalist.
We're making some real investments right now that'll make a difference. And Secretary Buttigieg, we're not going to disappoint you. This is an investment that's going to make a difference. Secretary Buttigieg.
Well, thank you, first of all, Governor. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Very glad to be able to join you.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited New London in early January to announce a huge windfall for Connecticut. The Biden administration chose the 80-year-old Gold Star Memorial Bridge connecting New London and Groton as one of only 4 major bridge projects in the country to receive a grant of $158 million from the bipartisan infrastructure law.
Very glad to be able to join you in starting this new term off right.
But seconds later, a car alarm sounded, then another, and a few more, each alarm blaring so loudly that heads turned away from the politicians toward the distraction. Some of the assembled speakers shook their heads, but Buttigieg didn't miss a beat, not once, in the 33 seconds it went on. A local cop told me he suspected some construction union members invited to the event staged this demonstration, using their vehicle key fobs to express their opinion about Buttigieg being gay.
Just as you started to speak at the news conference, a whole bunch of car alarms started going off. I guess that was some kind of message to you, maybe that you're not welcome. Is that something you think about? Is that something that bothers you?
Nope, but this can be a noisy business sometimes. I'm not that worried about it.
Following the news conference, Secretary Buttigieg talked one-on-one with Connecticut Voice. The last time Buttigieg made news here was in 2019, when he was Mayor Pete. He stumped for votes and campaign cash at the New Canaan home of Shiva Saram, as a Democratic candidate for president, best known as the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, a Navy veteran who served in the Iraq War, and husband to another man. Now Buttigieg is Secretary Pete, the U.S. Secretary of Transportation, the first out gay American ever confirmed by the U.S. Senate to a position in a president's cabinet, and a dad to 2 toddlers. On this day, Buttigieg returned to the shoreline not asking for money, but bringing with him millions in federal funding to fix Connecticut's longest bridge.
Secretary, welcome to Connecticut. There are 4 cities that are getting grants. Why did you choose Connecticut of all places?
Well, we're really excited about this project. What you have is one specific bridge in one specific place that has implications for the entire region and really for the entire country. You think about the national security significance of electric boat, you think about the economic significance of the freight as well as the passenger travel that happens over this bridge. And I think it's a great example of why we're doing this in the first place. When you see a need, when you see trucks having to reroute and go way out of their way in order to get to where they're going because the bridge is not able to carry heavy loads, this is why we've needed this infrastructure legislation for so long. Now that we have it, we're putting those dollars to work.
You know, if I were you, I'd be tempted to pick up the phone and call President Trump and say, hey, it's Infrastructure Week, finally. For real.
You know, Infrastructure Week was a joke for such a long time, but now it's an infrastructure decade, and you're looking at it right here. You know, this is a state that, first of all, for somebody like me with a connection to the Navy, means a great deal. It's really exciting to be back here.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but our interstate system is helping families flee states of hate. They are raising their trans kids, and in Texas and in Florida, that's outlawed to have gender-affirming care. Connecticut won't extradite them. That's our law. What can you do, if anything?
Well, of course, we want to make sure the transportation system is here for parents and families and kids who need to feel safe. But the most important thing is for them not to be in that situation in the first place. And not just speaking for myself, but this administration is going to continue pushing back on this kind of anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ legislation that really is endangering kids, endangering families, and sends the exact wrong message. If you're pro-family, you got to be for every family. If you believe in supporting parents parents. You got to believe in supporting parents who are trying to do right by their kids. And unfortunately, what we see, really for nakedly political reasons, is in certain states like Texas, like Florida, we're seeing the exact opposite of those family values that I think most of us as Americans believe in, which is to take care of people and to support parents who are trying to support their kids.
You mentioned personally, so if I can ask you a personal question, how are the babies doing? How are you and your husband doing?
They're doing great. We got them in daycare, and you know, they're pretty much running our world. They're coming up on a year and a half, so they're walking. It's you know, it's a very physical thing trying to keep up with two toddlers, and keeps Chasten, my husband, and me on our toes. But it's the most beautiful thing that's ever happened to us, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Buttigieg says he's not interested in running for president again or seeking an open Senate seat in his new home state of Michigan. He's focused on his job and his family.
Well, you know, every working parent has to figure out a way to make it happen, and you know, I try to be there for Chasten at whether it's breakfast time today. I was slicing the bananas while he was putting their little sweaters on, or whether it's in the evening, I try to be there for bath time and bedtime any day that I can. Unfortunately, it won't be possible today, but you know, we help each other out as you know, as so many parents do, and I'm just so proud to see our kids growing and thriving and healthy.
I wonder if you realize sometimes what it means for our LGBTQ community here in Connecticut to see you, a gay man, at the center of power in Washington, and the prestige. Do you ever think about that?
I sometimes do, but I would put it the other way around, which is to say that, you know, somebody like me would not have a chance to serve, to live openly, to be raising my kids, to be talking about my involvement in infrastructure policy as a member of the president's cabinet, and what my husband and I are doing to feed our kids and raise them and support them. That conversation wouldn't even be possible if it weren't for the work and the advocacy of so many in the community who were there even before I was around, and I recognize that I'm standing on their shoulders, just even being able to serve and have this role.
As congressional Republicans investigate the secretary, call for his resignation, and join conservative media mouthpieces in attacking him, Buttigieg remains unflappable. And as we know all too well, the best way to respond to a bully is to keep doing what you're doing and ignore them.